In today's video, I'm excited to introduce Orchestra BioMed Holdings, Inc. And this stock is found on the NASDAQ under OBIO. And this one's fairly interesting. So without wasting any time, let's jump in and find out exactly who this company is. They are trying to bring innovative innovations to life. And if we have a look a little bit closer at the chart, as you can see here, I'm pointing to the volume. The saying is that volume usually precedes price. And the reason why is because people are interested, right? They're showing interest in the stock, they're buying it. So that tells us that if the stock has gone up and then it has gone sideways and now it's going, has gone up, has gone down, and now it's going sideways. As a reminder, stocks can only do those three things. They can go up, they can go down, or they can go sideways. So if now the chart is going to stop going down and start going up, it's shown us the first clue by actually going sideways here for an extended period. And then the volume tells us that other people are interested in the stock because they are purchasing it. So if we go through and find out who they are, and we can see some of the recent news, including their financials that came out on August 12th, and they were second quarter financial results and highlighting the business updates. We're going to go through that. We're going to find out about their recent results like we just talked about. We're going to talk about their FDA approval of Backbeat and find out what Backbeat is. We're going to go through and look at their $111 million that has been secured in proceeds and capital committed. And then we're going to go through and look at their corporate presentation and potentially another document here from the THT. All right, let's jump in and find out more about this company. So again, they are Orchestra BioMed Holdings, Inc., found on the NASDAQ under OBIO. And this one is interesting. So as we alluded to before, they are a biomedical innovation company trying to accelerate high-impact technologies to patients through risk-reward sharing partnerships with leading medical device companies. They have an approach which looks really interesting. Like we mentioned, they want to work with leading medical device companies to drive successful global commercialization of products they develop. They have a pipeline of products as well, and we're going to go through those in a moment. They also have a very strong board, and if we have time, we'll look at that a little bit later. And then their unique technologies. So they have Backbeat cardiac neuromodulation therapy. That's a mouthful, or Backbeat CNT, also known as AVIM therapy. And it is a way to, this is a mouthful here. So this is above my pay grade. What I'm just going to say is that this is something that looks like it wants to provide a designed immediate relief in addition to a persistent reduction in blood pressure while simultaneously modulating autonomic nervous system response to maintain the reduction. That sounds really good. Over here, we got Virtue Sirolimus Angio Infusion Balloon. Again, that's a mouthful, or SAB. Virtue SAB is an investigational patented drug device combination product candidate for the treatment of artery diseases designed to deliver a proprietary extended release formulation of sirolimus. That's where the S comes from in the product here, I can only imagine. During balloon and angioplasty without the need for balloon coating on a permanent implant. Again, a mouthful here. So there's a few key things that are important here. Their key facts are that they have a late-stage flagship product, including the two we just talked about here, Backbeat CNT and Virtue SAB. Then they also have this right here, proprietary technology platform. They have CNT, Sostionesyl, microporous balloon infusion systems. And then we have heart failure, anthropopulmonary inflammation, BPH and urethral structures, osteoarthritis. That's one that I'm familiar with, and chronic rhinosinusitis. That's also me. I'm always congested. So this sounds very interesting. Let's dive in a little bit deeper. We talked about the chart briefly, but all I want to mention here is that after going sideways for a very long time and having earnings coming out, what's important is the recent news. So this volume is nice, but it also happened back here in April. So accumulation can often happen first. And that's what looks like it happened here. We heard about the company and what they do. So now we're going to jump into the recent financial results here. They've secured over $111 million in proceeds and committed capital following a completion of strategic transactions and concurrent public and private equity offerings, led by over $71 million committed from Medtronic and Ligand. They've achieved multiple FDA regulatory milestones, breakthrough device designations for AVIM therapy, approval for expanded backbeat study, enrollment criteria, and IDE approval for U.S. pivotal Virtue SAB trials versus commercially available Paclitaxel coated balloon. Again, a lot of these things are above my pay grade, so I apologize ahead of time. I can't read all these words. I have mild dyslexia, and honestly, they're just very, very sciencey. What does that mean? This is good because we want the company to be narrowed in to make sure they're able to deliver on exactly what they are, because they're a holding company. That's the way I read it here, right? Holding company. So they hold a few assets, and the assets they're invested in, I'm glad they understand them, because that's what makes us more able to take advantage of this. What I also find curious here, just at a high level, is that the market cap, as I read it here, is sitting at $143 million, but I just read they raised $111 million, led with $71 million from Medtronic and from Ligand. So if now we look through here in their Q2 2025 and recent business highlights, they tell us that they've completed multiple business strategic transactions and concurrent public and private offerings for total expected to be $111 million in gross proceeds to support continued advancements of the company's late stage or AVIM therapy and their SAB clinical programs. Gross proceeds are comprised of $55 million received on May 1st of 2026, subject to certain conditions, from royalty-based non-dilutive investments from Ligand, which is a NASDAQ stock found under LGND, and Medtronic, which is found under MDT. So this is good because they're other public companies. Ligand committed $35 million in exchange for a tiered revenue interest in Orchestra BioMed's future royalty in AVIM therapy and Virtue SAB. Medtronic committed $20 million in exchange for a secured subordinate promissory note convertible to CAB prepaid revenue shares. So it looks like it's a convertible note. Additionally, they got $56.2 million received from over $40 million underwritten public offering, and that is pre-funded with warrants of $11.2 million, and $5 million received from private placements in common stock to Medtronic, Ligand, respectively. So this stock looks like it's pretty popular because I recognize Medtronic. That's a pretty big company. Proceeds expected to extend cash runway until the second half of 2027. That's fairly important because as we're building out these FDA pipelines, they do get to be expensive. So that appears exactly what they're doing here, is that they're getting themselves ready with the backing of some big boys, right? Again, Medtronic and Ligand, two NASDAQ listed stocks. So proceeds are going to get them through second half of 2027. So they're well capitalized now. And that's basically what it sounds like here, is that people are taking a bet that at some point, the people who just took a bet right now, they're going to be right. They've got multiple products. We saw their roadmap and pipeline and people that they have, and looks fairly interesting. So let's actually go here and have a quick look at their people. Let's go to our innovation. Let's go to who we are. Let's go to our people. So let's find out about their people here very briefly. We got David P. Hochman, who is the chairman of the board and the CEO and founder. He's the person in charge of the company. He was also of Orchestra BioMed since 2018. He previously served as managing partner of Orchestra Medical Ventures, investment firm focused on creating high-impact medical devices. High medical device therapies. Then we have Darren R. Sherman, who's the president, COO, director, and founder. We have Andrew Taylor, who's a CFO. We got Yuval Mika, who's the PhD, general manager, and CTO. I apologize if I mispronounced any of these names. I'm trying my best here. Hans Perstol, he's the MD, PhD, and chief clinical officer. And they have a lot of people here. So that appears like that is the C-suite or the chiefs. And it looks like they have a lot of people at this company. So that's good because they have 250 plus years of experience, 25 years of experience each. They have 100 plus new product approvals and clearances, 600 plus patents that they've authored. And they have a market strategy, IP and product development, clinical and regulatory affairs, reimbursement, quality and supply chain, partnership management, optimizations, which gives them an accomplished leadership team with a creative pipeline, pioneers, business model, and established partnerships. So let's have a look here briefly to their news release from August 8th, because this looks interesting as well. Orchestra BioMed announces rollout of FDA-approved BACKBEAT global pivotal study protocol update, significantly expanding patient eligibility. So this looks interesting because it's the product that we were just told about that people wanted. So again, the company can be found under OBIO on the NASDAQ. And this is for FDA approval protocol updates, significantly expanding patient eligibility criteria for the Backbeat global pivotal study, resulting in an estimated more than 24-fold increase in the potential eligibility patient pools as compared to original study protocol. That is pretty substantial. Expanded eligibility criteria now include screening of any hypertensive patients who have received or are scheduled to receive a Medtronic Azure. Okay, that makes sense as to why they're now investing. That makes perfect sense. Or Astra pacemaker. I think there's a lot of pacemakers out there, including device replacements. Okay, this makes sense. Why? Medtronic. Okay. So if we think about this, what we need to ask ourselves is, why is Medtronic all over this? Why are they getting into the stock in a big way? Well, I think I understand it now, right? I'm trying to find out who this company is. And like, that's part of the reason why they usually engage people for marketing. Well, let's have a look at Medtronic, because this right here gets my interest in back in April. Who's Medtronic? Oh, they're $100 billion company. Oh, they got earnings. That's right. Their price to earnings is 25. Oh, it's like a really big company and they're really interested. Yes. So $119 billion company, if their core product, which is what I see here, I see Medtronic Astra or Azure dual chamber pacemakers with sufficient battery life implanted for any reason. Medtronic Astra or Azure dual chamber pacemakers that are first device implants are implanted to replace an existing pacemaker, and New York Heart Association class 1 or class 2 symptomatic heart failure. So that seems pretty important, especially the criteria. So this appears like it's the reason why there was a 24-fold increase. And this $100 billion company is looking at this one over here as saying, we need an option on this one here. If this works, we want to be involved, because that's a really big chunk of our business here. That's the way I'm reading it. So at already roughly at 12 minutes, we've already gotten through a lot of what we need to here, but this looks like it's the 56.2 million in proceeds from purchase from Medtronic and Ligand. Who's Ligand? I'm not familiar with them. Who's Ligand? Well, they're a $3 billion company too. I'm like, yeah, these are biomed companies, so they got some money to put at work here. I don't know as much about them, but also a public company. So, yeah, $111 million. The company is worth roughly 143 million now. So they're funded through the end of 2027. And what I want to do now is just very briefly look through their deck. We can see that they got some forward-looking statements, and this would be a great time for me to encourage you to please make sure you read the description for full disclosure details, and including that this is a sponsored video on behalf of the company, or Orchestra BioMed Holdings, Inc. All right, briefly looking in through the presentation here, let's find out a little bit more here. So they led a program of AVIM therapy targeting a $17 billion annual hypertension market. Okay, I understand why they're doing that now. That's where Medtronic is. And then their Virtue SAB is targeting a $4 billion annual artery disease target market. Those are two very big markets there. I can see why they're going after Medtronic. We can see what the roadmap is here to go from preclinical to clinical pivotal, which means getting to that FDA approval. And we can also see exactly all of those things we outlined regarding their executive management team before. Their AVIM therapy does look like it is going to be a very interesting thing to follow along here. And as we go through and see the size of the market, or the total addressable market, that is at $17 billion annually. With the backing of a company like Medtronic, if you want to find out more about the company, like I just mentioned, you can find them under the ticker OBIO. And that is on the NASDAQ for Orchestra BioMed Holdings, Inc. And with that said, I want to thank you very much for tuning in. Please read the description if you haven't already. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on the next video.